You think time is a thing that flows. You imagine it like a river, moving forward, carrying you with it. You believe the past is gone. The future hasn't happened. And the present is a thin, fragile slice you're standing on right now. That picture feels obvious. It feels unavoidable. But it's wrong. You don't experience time the way reality uses it. You experience a story your brain tells to stay oriented. You think clocks measure time itself. They don't. They measure motion. You think everyone shares the same now. They don't. There is no universal print. You think time passes at the same rate everywhere. It doesn't even in ordinary situations, even for you. And the most uncomfortable part is this: nothing in physics requires time to flow at all. That sensation past, becoming present, present slipping into memory, may not belong to the universe. It may belong only to you. Einstein didn't just adjust our equations. He removed the stage you thought reality was standing on, and once you see what replaces it, you don't get your old picture back. You believe there is a present moment you are inside of, not just for you, but for everyone. Right now feels shared. You assume that somewhere, everywhere, the universe agrees on what now means. This feels so obvious that questioning it sounds pointless. Of course, there's a now. You can feel it, but that feeling is not evidence. Imagine two people standing far apart, so far that light takes time to travel between them. You instinctively believe there is a fact of the matter about what each person is doing right now, even if you can't see them yet, even if the information hasn't reached you. You assume reality has already decided this is wrong. Before Einstein, physics quietly agreed with you. It treated time as a universal backdrop, an invisible grid where every event could be stamped with the same moment. Different places, same now. But this assumption was never tested. It was inherited. Einstein asked a question that sounded harmless. How do you actually decide whether two distant events happen at the same time? Not philosophically, operationally. You can't just look. Light takes time. So you invent a procedure. You synchronize clocks. You send signals. You correct for delays. And the moment you do this carefully, the illusion cracks. Two observers moving differently through space will disagree systematically about what counts as now. Not because of bad instruments, not because of mistakes, because reality itself does not supply a shared present. There is no cosmic clock ticking for the universe. No master timeline marking the moment everything is currently happening. Your present moment is not a slice across reality. It is a perspective. The unsettling part isn't that you lack information about distant events. It's that there is no fact you're missing. The universe does not owe you a global now. You experience a present because your brain must order events to function. That ordering feels fundamental, but it is local. Pry it. Once this is seen, something shifts. Time stops being a stage everyone stands on together. It becomes something tied to motion, position, and viewpoint. And the comfortable idea that the universe agrees with you about what is happening right now quietly disappears. You think two events either happen at the same time or they don't. It feels binary, clean. If two lightning strikes hit the ground at opposite ends of a field, you assume there is a definite answer to whether they were simultaneous. Maybe you didn't see them clearly. Maybe the distance fooled you. But you believe the universe knows. Einstein realized this belief was doing hidden work. To decide whether two distant events are simultaneous, you must compare clocks. But clocks don't talk to each other instantly. They need signals. Signals move at a finite speed. So you agree on a rule. A signal leaves one clock, reaches another, and comes back. You average the travel time. You call that synchronization. It feels neutral. It feels fair, but the rule smuggles in an assumption that the signal speed is the same in both directions. Now imagine someone else moving past you, not slowly, fast enough to matter. They perform the same procedure. They follow the same rules. They use the same physics. And yet their synchronized clocks disagree with yours. Not slightly, fundamentally. Events you insist happened at the same time do not line up for them. Events you call now are split apart. This is not a measurement problem. It is not about delay or distortion. It is about the structure of time itself. Simultaneity is not absolute. It depends on motion. This is where intuition collapses. You want to say one of you must be wrong, that one frame is distorted, that there is a true timeline underneath, but physics offers no such correction. There is no preferred observer, no hidden reference frame waiting to restore order. Both perspectives are equally valid. Both are equally real. The universe does not pick one. This means something deeply uncomfortable. There is no single way to divide reality into what exists now and what doesn't yet. Different observers slice reality differently. And none of those slices is privileged. Once simultaneity breaks, the idea of a universal present cannot be repaired. Time stops being a shared container. It becomes relational. What exists now for you may already be past for someone else, or not yet happened. And this isn't exotic. It's not science fiction. It's what the equations quietly insist, even when no one is watching. You imagine time as something that moves. It flows. It carries moments from the future into the past. This image is so familiar that you rarely notice it. You say time passes. You say it runs out. You feel it slipping away. But physics never uses this language. In Einstein's work, time does not flow. It does not advance. It does not drag anything with it. That metaphor belongs to human experience, not to the equations. Ask yourself a simple question. If time flows, how fast does it flow? 1 second per second. That answer sounds clever till you notice it explains nothing. Flow relative to what? Against what background? A river flows through space. Time would need something else to flow through, but there is no second time underneath time. Einstein treated time the way he treated space, as a dimension. You don't ask how fast space moves. You don't imagine meters drifting forward, yet with time, you insist on motion. This insistence comes from memory, from anticipation, from the asymmetry of experience. You remember the past, you don't remember the future. That psychological fact feels like a physical law, but it isn't. In relativity, different observers disagree on which events are earlier or later, just as they disagree on simultaneity, but nothing moves from one event to another. Events simply are. The sense of flow comes from how your brain stitches those events together into a narrative, a usable order, a survival tool. This is where discomfort deepens. If time doesn't flow, then the present isn't being updated. The future isn't approaching. The past isn't receding. Those are descriptions of perception, not structure. Einstein once wrote that the distinction between past, present, and future is a stubbornly persistent illusion. Not because it's silly, because it refuses to go away even when it's wrong. The universe does not advance moment by moment. It does not wait. Your experience does. And once the river metaphor collapses, you're left without a replacement. Just a dimension you move through without ever feeling motion. You trust clocks because they feel objective. They tick whether you're watching or not. They don't rely on memory or mood. So when two clocks disagree, your instinct is to blame one of them. A faulty mechanism, a bad calibration. Einstein forced a more uncomfortable conclusion. Both clocks can be correct. A clock does not measure time itself. It measures the path taken through space-time. That sentence sounds abstract. So notice what it replaces. You imagine time as something that exists first, and clocks simply sample it, like thermometers sampling temperature. This is wrong. In relativity, a clock is a physical object. It moves. It accelerates. It follows a trajectory. And different trajectories accumulate different amounts of time. This is not because time slows down. That phrase already smuggles the river back in. Nothing is slowing. Nothing is lagging behind. Each clock simply records its own history. When one clock moves relative to another, they trace different paths between the same events. Those paths are not equivalent. So the readings differ. This happens even without extremes. No black holes. No science fiction. GPS satellites must constantly correct for this effect, or your navigation would fail. Not because their clocks are broken, because they are honest. This reframes something quietly radical. There is no single amount of time between two events. Time is not universal. It is personal. Each object carries its own clock. Each clock tells a valid story. When you reunite two clocks after a journey, the difference between them is not an illusion. It is a physical fact. The universe does not reconcile them. This is where intuition starts to run out of footing. If time depends on motion, then time is not a background. It is woven into how things move. And once you accept that, the idea of one true timeline dissolves completely. You are not inside time. You are tracing a path through it. At this point, there's a temptation to retreat, to believe that time is strange, but still unfolding. That despite disagreements, the universe is somehow updating itself. Einstein didn't take that escape. Once time behaves like space, a consequence follows quietly and relentlessly. If different observers disagree about what exists now, then now cannot define what exists at all. Think about space. Different observers slice it differently. But you don't believe parts of space blink in and out of existence because of that. Einstein applied the same logic to time. Past, present, and future stop being categories of existence. They become locations. This leads to the idea that unsettled even Einstein's friends, the block universe. In this picture, the universe is not a movie being played. It is a complete structure. Every event, what you call past, what you call present, what you call future exists together. The way all locations in space exist together, nothing is coming into being. Nothing is disappearing. Your life is not unfolding. It is laid out. This is where intuition resists hardest. You feel yourself choosing. You feel moments arriving. You feel uncertainty. But none of that requires time to be incomplete. A road does not need to be built as you drive it to allow for decision. You still turn left or right from inside the journey. The block universe does not deny experience. It denies privilege. Your present moment is not the edge of reality. It is just where your consciousness happens to be located. Einstein was careful here. He didn't say, the future is known. He said it may already exist. That distinction matters. Physics does not tell you what it feels like to move through the block. It only tells you the block does not need to grow. This reframing is disturbing because it removes becoming from the universe itself. Change still exists. Difference still exists. But change does not require creation. The universe does not update. You move within it. And once that idea settles, the question is no longer where is time going. It becomes, why do you feel it moving at all? You treat the past as gone, finished, erased except for traces, memories, photographs, scars. You speak as if the past has collapsed into nothing, leaving only records behind. That language feels natural because forgetting feels natural. But forgetting is not disappearance. In the block universe picture, the past does not vanish. It simply isn't where you are. Just as a city doesn't stop existing when you leave it, an event doesn't stop existing because your consciousness moved on. This is not a comforting idea. It removes a quiet assumption you rely on that painful moments are over. In an absolute sense, physics does not offer that guarantee. When Einstein was told that the death of a close friend meant the past no longer existed, he disagreed gently. For him, the separation between past and present was not fundamental enough to erase anything. That does not mean the past is accessible. It does not mean it can be changed. Existence is not interaction. You cannot visit the past, the way you cannot visit distant galaxies outside your light cone. But distance does not imply non-existence. This is where language breaks down. You what exists to mean can affect me now. Physics uses a quieter definition. Events exist if they are part of the structure of space-time. Nothing more, nothing less. From that perspective, the past is not destroyed, it is complete. And so is the future. This does not make experience meaningless. It makes it local. Your awareness traces a line through the block. That line has a direction, not because time flows, but because memory does. Entropy increases. Records accumulate. Brains are asymmetric. Those facts create an arrow, but they do not create time itself. The unsettling implication is this: the sense of loss you associate with time passing may not reflect something leaving the universe. It may reflect something leaving you. The universe keeps everything it ever was. You just don't stay in the same place by now. The old picture is gone. The one where the universe waits for the present to arrive. The one where reality refreshes itself moment by moment. What replaces it is quieter and heavier. If time does not flow, if the present is not universal, if past and future are not erased or unborn, then something you relied on, never guaranteed. You believed the universe was becoming, that it was unfinished, that it was in some sense open. Einstein's picture removes that comfort without cruelty. It doesn't declare meaning impossible. It simply refuses to build meaning into the structure of time itself. The universe is not aiming anywhere. It is not progressing. It is not keeping pace with your expectations. It is complete in a way that feels incompatible with experience. And yet experience persists. You still feel urgency. You still feel regret. You still feel anticipation. Those feelings don't disappear when the metaphysics changes. They become personal instead of cosmic. You are not watching time pass. You are moving through a fixed landscape with limited access and incomplete memory. That limitation is not a flaw. It is the condition that allows anything to matter. If you could see the whole block at once, choice would lose its texture. If every moment were equally present to you, attention would dissolve. Meaning arises not because time flows, but because you don't see where your path goes next. Einstein never claimed this picture was emotionally satisfying, only that it was honest. The universe does not care about now. It does not preserve moments because they feel important. It does not erase moments because you wish they were gone. It simply contains, and inside that containment, you live locally, briefly, with partial information. Time does not give your life urgency. Your position inside it does. And that may be the deepest discomfort of all. The universe does not rush. Only you do.